joined us for the broadcast, by the way. It's all about the future of sports tech and the way it relates to entertainment. And you've already met Amar Hina, who's the broadcast and TV production director for UAE Pro League, sharing his presentation there. Also a specialist in all aspects of modern day sports, content creation, from production to post-production management, and has worked on everything, including FIFA World Cup, UAE soccer, as you know, UEFA Champions League, European qualifiers to the English Premier League, all kinds of live programming. We're joined as well by a very esteemed panel who can be sharing their thoughts as we get straight into the questions. We're joined by Hisham Shahabi, who's the co-founder and COO of Next Sports, who's actually a former Olympics participant. He hasn't said which Olympic sport. We're going to find out in a moment. And Hisham was sports intelligence manager at the International Olympic Committee and co-founded Next Sports. And as we mentioned, is COO based in Washington, D.C. Also, we're joined by Adam Marcel, who's marketing head for technical support services for Nokia. And Adam is a massive sports fan, which really helps, and drives the marketing activities for Nokia's new era of 5G digital support. He's actively involved in designing, deploying, and operating many venue solutions across the globe. Gentlemen, welcome to the broadcast. Before we start, I'm going to find out, Hisham, which sport did you take part in the Olympics? Which one was it?
It was 2004 in Athens, and I swam for Bahrain in the games in the 100-meter freestyle. So that was it.
Excellent. I'll go straight onto YouTube to find how you get on after we finished our broadcast. So we saw a wonderful presentation there, all about the future of tech and how in sports it's already been integrated. Now, first question to you, Amar, is I know that certainly in this region, maybe because of the nature of the heat and the weather, but also the nature of the way that people follow teams, some events, some games are really well populated and others aren't. It's true in Spain, the same as well. They tend to go to the big games, but not so much. Do you think there's a danger that when we see the incredible movement that you put together for watching a game is actually a much better experience at home than it actually is turning up and seeing the actual game live?
Yeah, this is the debate we have all the time internally with the marketing side. In general, whatever investment you're doing on the feed, it will give you a return. It's as a football league, we have a couple of kinds of somehow of returns. And whenever you have like a nice image, you have like let's call it like presented product, it will lead people indeed for your stadium sooner or later. As an example, through the presentation, maybe you saw the virtual reality side, and just to let you know, like more than 90% of the people who followed that experience we're not football fans at all. It was more about being geek on technology and just follow what's happening around. And it was not even from the region. It was mostly from Europe more than even our region.
So, I mean, football is probably the most popular sport on the planet, and I'll argue with anybody on it. But the challenge is, not everybody knows the rules. I know that the offside rule is virtually ignored by many people, including players. So what you're saying is that really, by using all the big shiny objects and all the graphics and so on, you're making it available for more people to understand the beautiful game as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's part of our media campaigns all the time. So as an example, through the last couple of years, we had road shows all over around the country. And as you know, this country is full of expats. So it's not more about football. You can find like cricket fans. You can find, in general, like sports fans from all over the world living in this country. So as you mentioned, you need to give them the good introduction for the game. So within the road shows, which included a lot of like schools, communities and malls and general marketing centers, everyone got the chance to see what is football all about and how they can be part of it. And even it was more on the marketing side. Yes, we have that on our mind all the time. Yeah, for sure.
I'd like to bring in Hisham on this same subject from Next Sports. Because Next Sports are responsible in many ways of adding technology to the awareness of the media and other providers, what's your strategy for getting them to understand and also to make sure that you grow the sport and don't get it outweighed by the shiny objects and the bells and whistles that the technology is adding?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question, Dave. So the issue today is that there's a lot of shiny objects, and it attracts a lot of people at sports organizations. And so you'll find a lot of decision makers who are unaware of how technology works, who are keen on displaying the latest technology within their sports organization. And they don't always have a business plan behind it or a technical understanding of how that would integrate. And I'm sure Ammar would agree on how integration is such an important point when you bring these new technologies to sports. So for us, our role really comes there to make sure that before any big investment is made, and I heard Ammar say investment a few times because these are quite big sums of money that need to be made by a sports organization, it's important to understand which level of readiness the sports organization is at. So that's something we do regularly with our clients and with prospects and partners, is to figure out on the digital readiness kind of maturity level where the sports organization is, and then depending on that, where to invest in. And it's really from two sides. So you have obviously everything the fancies, but everything on the backside as well to help the performance, to help. I mean, a lot of data is collected today on athletes and their performance, which is then used in the training room and for high performance purposes. So these two are really important, and making investments sometimes in sports performance is as important as showing how good the sport can be. So I think the challenge today is that there's so many different solutions on the market, and it's hard to really understand which one is the best. I was really happy to see Sponix, who I know from a few years ago, great startup that's investing in the right technology infrastructure, and they are using their partnership with the UAE Pro League to also improve their product. You know, so these kind of partnerships between tech companies and sports organizations are very new, and so where this sits within an organization is also a bit difficult. You know, so whereas in the, let's say, aviation industry or transportation industry, you do have technology and innovation, not IT, but technology and innovation roles. In sports organizations, this is just happening now. So usually this transversal approach is very difficult. And yeah, I think it's an exciting moment because especially in the context of GITEX, we're talking about startups. And here there's like a big opportunity, I think, for startups, entrepreneurs, investors to partner with sports organizations that have so many different pain points across kind of the broadcasting side, but also then the performance side. And understanding how to create those capacities to work together is part of what we do.
Thank you. Adam from Nokia. Now, I want to talk about 5G. 5G, for many people, is the cause of a coronavirus. Let's put those people to one side and let's get back to reality. 5G really does change the game in every way, shape, and form. Can you just share with us some ways that 5G technology and the ability to get really ultra super fast bandwidth to people's phones, in stadiums, wherever they are, is altering the way that people will perceive sports, especially football in the future?
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, I think Hisham and Ammar talked about the broadcasting, the performance measurement, what's happening in the back, what's happening in terms of the experience. And actually, we talked about how difficult it is and everybody's using different technologies. But 5G can, I wouldn't say that it can sort of replace what broadcasters are doing because they're collecting a lot of data, but it can complement when they want to use flexible drone-based cameras, volumetric video that they use, or when you're tracking performance. So, and I would add a little bit, of course, the primary is to enhance the fan experience and just to get into the stadium, augmented screening, safety screening, or just when in COVID times, we're going to see a lot of changes. And I think they're going to be measuring if they have a fever or not. So that can happen instantly. But when they get to their seats, they select the camera views. They may that be behind the scenes, like we saw from the UAE example is great from the locker rooms, how they prepare. but this can create a connectivity layer that startups can build on, sports teams, or I would say that, of course, mobile operators and communication service providers will play an essential role in creating that ecosystem, and they can sort of help innovators take part in a massive chunk, or may that be a small slice of performance measurement, or even, I would say, these are very specific locations that have massive logistics, and they're, of course, the merchandisers. There's a big team working in the back and helping how they run the show will also be taken care of by 5G.
Adam from UAE Pro League, we mentioned there about the investments, and I think it can't be ignored, because in order to choose the right technology, the right partnerships and everything, you really have to sort of roll the dice and see what comes out. But the big question for everybody is going to be who ends up paying for these great new sports, because you are reinventing it. How much of this is going to be enhancing it, and how much of it is going to go under the cost for fans who want to just enjoy it, but suddenly find the tickets have gone up, or they're paying a lot more for subscription fees because it's got to go somewhere?
Yeah, it's more about the cooperation and the relations with the stakeholders, I believe. You mentioned like a very valid point that just to let you know, we're working on 4K quality now, while we still have some of our fans who are still watching 4:3 aspect screens, you know. So it is so much difficult, and at the same time, you know, with the technology, that everything is accessible, everything is easy to find. You need to be somehow ready to tease those fans who are following everything, you know. It will be like so hard for a league to be not to give the same experience so far as the Premier League while you are in UAE. And because whenever you lose the fans, you will never get them back again. So you need to be all the time ready for those technologies. And the main thing, as I mentioned, it's about cooperation, because as Hisham highlighted the word investment. Investment is not just only like paying money. It's more about maybe investing in some relations, or like giving some sharing profits with like small projects. As an example, I mentioned the virtual reality, and it went very well in the beginning. And one of the main issues that we faced is we don't have like very good connectivity while we have a telco partner on our side. And that's why we're having some kind of, I'm not going to say delay, but we calm down, and we're just waiting whenever the 5G launched properly, so we can use it. As Adam mentioned, it's not going to replace the broadcast, I believe, but as you mentioned, it will complement. It will help a lot whenever I have accessibility for all the cameras without having wired everywhere, without having low latency or connectivity issues all the time. I believe this will fix a lot. It's not just about using the drones, I believe, but to be honest, we were thinking ahead now. Whenever we have the 5G ready, it's just to do everything remotely. When I say everything, I'm talking about commentary, to do it remotely with a 5G technology, instead of having fiber connectivity everywhere. Same for the VAR. If I have like a centralized VAR center, it will like reduce the amount that I'm paying hugely, you know. And it's not just about investing. Regarding just, I'll back to Hisham's point regarding Sponix. So the investment we did with Sponix is not just giving them money for a service. It was more about giving them the land that they can test. And from day one, we believe in their product, to be honest, and we still believe in it. And I believe we're working on a couple of nice ideas now. And hopefully by the next season, we have like maybe new technology on board.
Well, fingers crossed. One last question to you, Amar, as we summarize the future of UAE football. Obviously, this technology makes a huge difference to the viewing experience inside and outside the stadium. Now, I lived actually in Sharjah for many years, next to one of the football stadiums, and you could tell when the home team won because the party wouldn't stop for about an hour and a half. But when they didn't win, it got really quiet. Now, the question is, When you mentioned about the UAE, about the most watched league in the world, which is the English Premier League, how much of this technology do you hope will make more people around the world interested in the UAE Pro League because of the quality of the broadcast and the accessibility of the commentating and the graphics? Is that part of the plan, do you think?
Yeah, just it's like a football game. It's a formula. You need to do 1, 2, 3 to reach the result you're looking for. So regarding improving the broadcast side, investing in some kind of cameras, super slow-mos, and those like very nice shots that everyone is enjoying while watching football, whatever league you're watching. It took us a couple of years to have like proper production plans, and we're still investing on it. And at the same time, it's, as I mentioned, it's formula. We work on the content side. So for the last 2 seasons now, we have English commentary as a part of our international feed. So 2 years back, we had we were selling our rights only inside the MENA region. And now we're reaching like 5 continents because we have good quality. At the same time, we have like the language that is more accessible for, it's more like easier to follow with, you know? So it's not just the technology side. It's all about how you plan it from day one.
Wonderful. Well, we look forward to seeing the future of the UAE sport. And I've got to thank our wonderful guests, Hisham, Adam, and Amar, for spending quality time with us. By the way, we thank you as well for joining us on the broadcast. Not only have an amazing day, but make sure you join us when GITEX is live, back again from the 6th to the 10th of December at Dubai World Trade Center. So on behalf of myself and our wonderful guests here, have an amazing day and make sure you're part of the 5G revolution, and find out more when you join us at GITEX. Thank you.